Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Pick 6, Week 5. I'll be your host this week. I'm Brian Badko. Great slate of games coming up here as the NFL season is past the quarter-way point. Let's go ahead and meet today's panel, which I will also be on, but let's see who else is on the show today.
Hi, I'm Adam. You probably recognize me. I hosted most of the first few weeks of the season, and I'm here to better Dan's 7-0 record from last week.
My name is Simarath. I'm sure you've seen me many times. I'm back for another week this week, looking to improve on my 4-2 record from the last time I was on.
Yeah, how about that? Dan going 7-0. That's pretty impressive. That's going to be tough to top.
It's his first show ever.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Pick 6 experts. But the first game this week we're going to look at the hometown team, the Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Tennessee Titans. Titans 3-1, looking solid. Steelers 2-2, a lot of cause for concern after last week against Houston. But I think the Steelers get back on track this week, not just being a homer. Matt Hasselbeck has been good thus far for Tennessee, but I don't think the Steelers defense will have too many problems with him. I think they get to him early and often and remind people just what the Steel Curtain is all about.
I'm actually going to disagree with Brian this week. I'm picking against my Steelers. I think they're way too banged up to win. James Harrison's out indefinitely. The offensive line is just a complete just random assortment of people at this point. They just re-signed Max Starks, who hasn't had a full practice in over a year. And guess what? He's starting this week. I don't think that's going to end well. Roethlisberger himself is hurt. I just think they're way too banged up to win. The only thing the Steelers have going for them right now is that somehow the Steelers have the number one pass defense in the league, but that's only because everybody's taking their time and running against the Steelers. It's something I never would have thought I would say. Chris Johnson finally hit 100 yards last week. He's definitely going to do it again against the Steelers. I really hate to say it, but I'm picking the Titans in this one.
Yeah, I must say the Steelers have some problems, to say the least. Last week they only lost by a touchdown, but really it should have been a lot worse. Run defense isn't very good. Like you said, the pass defense is still shaky. Just teams don't have to exploit it. I think I'd feel a little better picking the Titans if they still had Kenny Britt, who would have caused huge problems, but I think overall, the Steelers are just too banged up. It's not just Roethlisberger, who still has a foot injury, and Mendenhall. James Harrison, arguably their best defensive player, will be out. Talking about trying to get to Hasselbeck, that's going to be an issue without your best pass rusher. The Steelers, I just think, have too many issues. The Titans are playing really well. Matt Hasselbeck has looked really, really good. He's exactly what they need to get back on track. I think the Titans go to 4-1 this week in Pittsburgh.
Wow, so I'm the only one picking the Steelers, and you guys are from Pittsburgh too. For shame, for shame. In second game for this week that we're going to be breaking down, the other Pennsylvania team, the Eagles, traveling to Buffalo to take on the upstart Bills. Eagles sitting at 1-3. They were supposed to be the dream team. Buffalo Bills sitting at 3-1. They were supposed to be, well, not very good, but look at what we have. However, I don't think the records are going to mean much in this one. I think the Eagles do get the win on the road. I kind of think the Bills are pretenders. They lost last week to Cincinnati, who I don't think is a good team. And this Eagles swoon can only go on so long. They have too much talent. Michael Vick is too tough to contain. Assuming he doesn't get hurt, which seems to be a question every week nowadays with him, I think the Eagles will win this one against the Bills. What do you guys think?
Well, Brian, I think this. If you compare the team stats of the Eagles and the Bills on offense, the Eagles have a better time of possession, better third down conversion. They have more rushing yards per game, more passing yards per game. But the Bills beat them in more points per game, which is ridiculous. I also think that the Eagles' run defense is not that good, and Fred Jackson having a beast of a year, carrying some of my fantasy teams to the championship, I believe. But I think the Bills are actually going to be able to beat the Eagles this week. They're my surprise team of the year, and they should be able to get it done against a pretty weak Eagles team. Sorry, Marshall.
Well, as much as I'd love to pick the Bills, the upstart team this week against the Eagles, it's supposed to dream team. I can't really do it. You look at the Eagles, how they've lost these games. They've lost them because of fluke fumbles, almost terrible red zone play, type of things that just aren't going to continue over the season. Likewise for the Bills, they've won on these last-second great comebacks, 3 touchdowns versus the Patriots, 18 points against the Raiders. That's the other type of thing that can't keep up. The Bills like to throw the ball a lot. The Eagles still have the best secondary with Nnamdi Asomugha coming over and whatnot. The Eagles really, really need to win this game. There's really no excuses this week. I think they'll get it done.
So 2-1, we agree that the Eagles going to win that one. Game 3, Tampa Bay traveling to San Francisco to face off against the 49ers. This is an interesting one because I'm not sure if either of these teams are for real, but I could be wrong on both of them. Both of these teams are kind of overachieving, I will say, thus far this year, especially San Francisco, a team that didn't even make the playoffs last year in that horrid NFC West, but they look like the class of the division this year. But I'm going to take Tampa Bay on the road. They were impressive to me against the Colts on Monday night. The Colts aren't very good, but Tampa Bay found a way to win that game, and I think maybe Indy's a little better than people give them credit for. I think LeGarrette Blount will be used early and often by Tampa Bay. I think he will pound that San Francisco run defense, and I think Josh Freeman, who hasn't really been good this year, I think he'll make enough plays to get the win on the road for the Bucs. What do you guys think?
Well, I think the key phrase for this game is on the road for the Bucs after Monday night against Indianapolis. They're traveling across the country, and because they're playing on a short week as well, I think that's going to be enough for the 49ers to win. I see these teams as pretty evenly matched across the board, so it's going to come down to one of these intangibles. I just think Tampa Bay is going to be tired enough from their short week and cross-country trip that the game's going to start off pretty even, but come the fourth quarter, they're going to be a little bit slower than the 49ers, make one or two key mental errors that are going to allow the 49ers to win the game.
Yeah, this is probably the hardest game of the week to pick, simply because we just don't know what to expect from either of these teams. I really wouldn't be surprised by anything. I think they're pretty even. I think the 49ers come down a little bit after that big win against the Eagles. They also likewise have to travel across the country, even though it's going to be on their home turf. I think the Bucs, I just like them a little bit better. I like Josh Freeman still better than Alex Smith there. Josh Freeman's been the king of the fourth quarter comebacks throughout his career. I think he pulls another one out this week. I think the Bucs edge out the 49ers here.
Jets at Patriots, a 4:15 kickoff, and this is one of the best rivalries in the NFL right now. Patriots looking good again this year with Tom Brady, who's been unreal thus far. The Jets, once again, aren't living up to all that Rex Ryan hype. I don't think it changes this week. The Patriots have their question marks on defense, running the football, but one, Mark Sanchez has been awful thus far. I don't think he's going to exploit that New England secondary. And two, Stephen Ridley has showed that even though he's a rookie, he's a capable backfield runner for the Patriots. I think Tom Brady continues to just shred teams, even Darrelle Revis in that tough Jets defense, especially the secondary. I think this one will be close, but I think New England gets the win at home. Guys, agree? Disagree?
Well, Brian, I definitely agree with you on this pick. I'm taking the Patriots. I know the Jets are usually, at least over the last couple of years, sort of kryptonite when it comes to the Patriots in terms of big games. Tom Brady is playing way too well right now. He has 13 touchdowns in the first quarter of the season. That puts him on pace for 52, which breaks his old record of 50 if he manages to keep his pace up. I don't really see it slowing down against the Jets. I know Revis is a beast, but he's only one man, and he's facing Tom Brady. I know the Patriots lost to the Bills, but that was kind of a fluke. Brady's not going to throw 4 picks in one game again in his life ever. I highly doubt it. Definitely taking the Patriots in this one.
Well, I think we'll find out a lot about the Jets this week. 2 weeks ago, they go to Oakland. They get stomped on, 230 rushing yards allowed. Last week, they go to Baltimore. It's a turnover fest. 3 defensive touchdowns they allow. So I think this is really the defining week for the Jets going to New England, where they won last year, to make it to the AFC Championship game. As much as I think they'll come out, they'll be focused, they'll play their game. There won't be any more 3 defensive touchdowns they allow. I think the Patriots are just too much. That offense is even better than it was last year. Even though the Patriots lost to them in the playoffs just a month earlier, they beat those same Jets 45-3. I don't know if it'll be 45-3 this time, but I do think the Patriots should have their way with the Jets for the most part.
So New England gets the sweep, first sweep of the day. God, I hate Tom Brady. Sunday night, Green Bay and the Falcons in Atlanta. Atlanta, a lot of people's trendy Super Bowl pick going into 2011, but they just simply haven't looked like a good football team. Barely squeaked it out against Seattle last week, while Green Bay looks like an offense of just legendary proportions. Aaron Rodgers is out of his mind right now. I do think Atlanta is going to look better this week against the defending Super Bowl champs because it's tough to look much worse than they have, but I do think Aaron Rodgers is just too good. I think this one's going to be pretty high scoring. I think Green Bay wins it by a touchdown.
Well, you know they say the phrase, any given Sunday, any team can win. But a smart man plays the odds, and my odds are Green Bay Packers win this game and probably not have a difficult time doing it. Like Brian said, Aaron Rodgers is out of his mind right now. He had his way with the Falcons when they played in the NFC divisional round last year, and after that he went on to win the Super Bowl. I think the Falcons will be able to hold them to 5 touchdowns this week, but that's not going to be enough, so Packers are going to win.
Well, here's another big game for a team, a season-defining game almost. When we look at the Falcons, 2-2, could easily be 1-3, maybe even 0-4. They just don't look very good right now, as we've been talking about. The Packers, on the other hand, 4-0 on fire. Aaron Rodgers could easily be the best quarterback in the game, and yes, that includes Brady and Manning. I think the Falcons, this is their season. They obviously are going to want revenge from last year's drubbing in the playoffs they took. they'll come out firing, but I mean, there's only so much they can do with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Matt Ryan can keep up on that Packers defense, which has slipped a little bit this year, but I think they'll be able to hold the fort down.
So there you go. We think the Packers stay undefeated this week. The other undefeated team in the NFL right now, and who would have thunk it, the Detroit Lions sitting at 4-0. They'll be in Monday Night Football this week, hosting their NFC North rivals, the Chicago Bears. I don't know, guys. The Lions look for real. I'm going to have to go ahead and take them in this one as well. Matthew Stafford to Calvin Johnson has just been like a broken record thus far this season in 2011. You look at the other side, the Bears, a little more storied tradition, but they just haven't been able to keep Jay Cutler upright. Matt Forte has proven to be an elite running back, but I don't think that's going to be enough. The Lions, they look like they're finally running on all cylinders. Everything is clicking for them offensively, defensively, and Ndamukong Suh is anchoring that line even though he's a young guy. I think the Lions improved to 5-0, and they continue on a crash course with the Green Bay Packers in that NFC North. It's going to be fun when they eventually meet. Do you think we're going to have two undefeated teams after Week 5?
Well, I'll tell you what, Brian. I don't think Matthew Stafford, Calvin Johnson is a broken record because to me it's just sweet, sweet music. The Detroit Lions their team is for real. They finally managed to turn all their losing seasons into young talent. Matt Stafford, Megatron, Ndamukong Suh, Javid Best. Their team's quietly got some of the best talent in the NFL right now, and they're going to be a good team for a couple years to come after this, I would think. With that being said, they're definitely going to beat the Bears on Monday night. I love Matt Forte as a player. I just don't think he's enough to carry the Bears to a victory. The Lions just have way too much talent right now.
Well, it's interesting. The Lions are 4-0, but they've had to come back from 20-point-plus deficits the past 2 weeks in the second half to do it. At some point, their luck will run out a little bit. They haven't looked in the first half of either of the past 2 games. I do think there's a bit of a trap game at some point on the horizon for the Lions. I just don't think it'll come this week. I think the Bears' offensive line versus the Lions' defensive line, we talk about mismatches. That might be the biggest mismatch we find all year. I just think the Lions are going to have too much. Even if they play sloppy, I still think they can win this game over the Bears, who just have too many issues on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, that's going to do it for us here on Pick 6. Thanks a lot for watching. Week 5 in the NFL should be entertaining. We'll see if any of us three go 7-0 like Dan did last week. Well, 6-0. We only picked 6 games. No bonus game this week. But once again, we'll see how right we are, the analysts, the PSN experts. Thanks a lot for watching. We're out like TCU.